Hello everyone. Today we are going to see a Singapore math problem that's applicable for grade 4, 5. It probably will be introduced in grade 4, but the question can be useful for both grade 5 and grade 6 students as well. So the question here is Joseph had 100 pencils and pens. After giving away 3/4 of his pencils or 3 by 4 of his pencils and 15 pens, he had equal number of pencils and pens left. How many pens did he have at first? So one thing we know is that both pencils and pens together, the quantity is 100. And then he gave away 3/4 of his pencils, right? So what does that mean? Is that he took his pencils, divided them into 4 equal parts. In each part, we don't know how many pencils were there, but he divided them into 4 groups and he gave away 3 groups. So he was left with 1 out of the 4 groups, right? And 15 pence, in terms of quantity, he gave away 15 pence. He had finally, after he did all this, he had equal number of pens and pencils left. So let's start with this giving away portion. Let's say pencils. He had some pencils. So what he did was he divided his pencils into 4 groups. He divided his pencils into 4 groups and he gave away 3 of it. So now he's left with only one part of the or one group of the pencils. Now pens, he gave away 15 pens, and what did he have left with? He had equal number of pencils and pens left. So the pens that is left should be equal to what is the number of pencils left. So that is the same amount of pens that he has left, similar to the pencils. And this whole thing, including what he gave away and what he has left, this whole thing should be equal to the total number of pencils and pens, which is 100. So these 3 parts he had given away, but if we consider go slightly behind, go back before he gave away, he would have had these 3 parts plus this part, which he even now has. And he had given away 15, so we are including that. And what is left is shown here. So this whole thing is at the beginning, very beginning, Joseph had 100 pencils and pens, right? So now what do we see from here? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 equal sized units, plus in quantity we have 15 pens, and that is equal to 100. So we can write it as 5 units. So if we consider each of these as 1 unit, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units plus 15 pens, that is equal to 100, right? So now we have an equation here. We want to cancel the 15 here. So what we can do, we can subtract both sides with 15. So 15 minus 15, this gets cancelled off. And the other side, it's 100 minus 15. So 5 units is equal to 100 minus 15, and that is equal to 85. So 1 unit will be equal to 85 divided by 5. So 5 units or 5 equal size units is equal to 85. So 1 unit, you have to divide that 85 into 5 equal parts. Then you will get what is it for 1 unit. So 1 unit is equal to 17. So the question here is, how many pens did he have at first? So we know that 1 unit is 17. So this will be 17, right? And this, what we have here is 15. So that is the amount of pens he had at first. So number of pens is equal to 15 that he gave away, right? That, and what is left, 17, which is 1 unit is equal to 17, you can see from here. So that is equal to 15 plus 17, which is 32. Hope this was clear. Now let's move on to see how we can solve the same problem using algebra. Let me read the question for the benefit of those who skipped the last portion. Joseph had 100 pencils and pens. After giving away 3/4 or 3 by 4 of his pencils and 15 pens, he had equal number of pencils and pens left. How many pens did he have at first? Right? So what we know here is that Joseph had equal number of, sorry, not equal. Joseph had 100 pencils and pens, but we don't know how many pencils and how many pens. So let's assume that, right, pencils is equal to x, some quantity x. Instead of unit, here we are going to use alphabet. So we'll say, okay, let the number of pencils be x, right? It could be any value, and pens be y. So that again is any value at this point of time. The first statement, Joseph had 100 pencils and pens, which means pencils plus pens should be equal to 100, or in our case it will be x plus y should be equal to 100. So this is our first equation. We use the first statement to form the first equation, or equation number 1. Now we go to the next statement. After giving away 3 by 4 of his pencils, what does this mean? If he divides his pencils into 4 equal parts, and out of that he has given 3 parts, which means he would be left with 1/4, 1 part out of the 4 parts of his pencils. And he gave away 15 pens. After that, he had equal number of pencils and pens left. All right. So now let's see how we can represent this pencils. He has given away 3/4 of the pencils, meaning he has given away 3/4 of x, which is the total number of pencils, which means what is left should be 1/4 of x, right? 1/4 of x. And after he gave away, he had equal number of pencils and pens left. So this is the number of pencils left, right? And for the pens, we will have y minus 15, because y is the total number of pens and he gave away 15 pens there. So it is y minus 15. So 1 by 4 of x is equal to y minus 15. So we have to simplify this to get our second equation here. This is the same as like x times 1. This x is the numerator here. You can also write it as 1 by 4 times x over 1. And multiplication, we multiply the numerators together and the denominators together. So in this case, x times 1 is x, right? X over 4 is equal to y minus 15. Now, again, in an equation, we can multiply both sides, divide both sides, add to both sides, or subtract from both sides the same amount, and the equality of this equation will not be affected. So in this case, I want to remove that 4 from here. I don't want any denominators or fractions in this case. So if I want to remove the 4, I can multiply this quantity by 4 here, which means I also have to multiply this quantity here by 4. So when I multiply this quantity by 4, the 4 gets cancelled off. So, oh, I have not done that yet. So I'm just going to show that x by 4 is equal to, again, I just want to show you here, y minus 15 can also be written as y minus 15 by over 1. It's the same, right? There are two ways to look at it. One is multiplying 4 on both sides, or we can what we call as cross multiplication. 4, when it goes here it's divided by 4, so it goes here into times. So you can multiply this by 4, and you can multiply this by 1. So if I multiply this by 1, this becomes x is equal to y minus 15 times this 4, right? So that if you want to simplify this, you know the multiplication rules in this case, 4 times y minus 4 times 15. So x is equal to 4 times y, which is 4y, minus 4 times 15, which is 60. And there are two methods to actually solve these equations. We have two equations in x and y, and these kind of equations are called simultaneous equations, and there are two ways to solve them. One is the substitution method and the other is the elimination method. Now we are going to do substitution method in this case. The question is, how many pens did he have at first, right? Which means we need to figure out y. So what I'm going to do is x value here is equal to 4y minus 60. So it forms equation 2. I'm going to take this value of x from here and substitute in this equation here. Basically substituting equation 2 in equation 1. So what I'm going to do here is instead of writing x here, I'm going to write 4y minus 60. So x plus y is 100. So x becomes 4y minus 60 plus y equals 100, right? Now I can bring the 60 to the other side of the equality symbol here. So minus 60, when you bring it over here, would become plus 60. That's one way of looking at it. Another way is, if I want to remove this 60, it's minus 60. So I add 60, this becomes cancelled. And I will have to add 60 on the other side of the equation as well. And 4y plus y is equal to 5y. So 5y is equal to 100 plus 60. And so that is equal to 5y is equal to 160. So y is equal to 160 divided by 5, which gives us 32. And that is the answer to the question, how many pens did he have at first? He had 32 pens at first. All right. Hope this was clear. If you have any doubts, as usual, you can drop in comments, drop in your doubts or questions in the comment section. Have a great day and happy learning. Thank you.